Hi, everyone.
Hey, hey.
Hi.
So,
I think I'm starting.
yes.
So it's
Okay, I think we've been introduced. You know who we are. Yes.
So it's my turn to start. Thank you very much for the invitation. Now I'm talking about Urbane Künste Ruhr, and to give it to you in letters, Urbane Künste Ruhr is a polymorphous, decentralized institution working in the whole Ruhr area. The Ruhr area has 53 cities, I think was already mentioned. There is truly no center. We have no exhibition space. We are working in public space. And the idea to have something like Urbane Künste Ruhr raised after the culture capital in 2010, because there was a lot of energy for the whole Ruhr area. And the politicians and also the regional association Ruhr didn't want to let it get flat, so they said we have to have an institution, like a sustainable institution, to keep the energy up. And this is the story of Urbane Künste Ruhr. And I'm going to talk about the first decade, 2018-2023, briefly, because it's important to understand what we are doing. And I give you some examples, for example, of permanent works, because this is also an elegant way to introduce the region a bit more. We have a public collection called Emscher Kunstweg, Emscher Art Trail. Here you see the river in the middle is the Emscher, and the Emscher got very popular because it was one of the last open wastewater canals through a region with 5 million people living over there. So it was really, in the beginning of the 21st century, one of the last truly scandals environmental-wise. And in the late 90s, there was the attempt to change the situation, because it was clear that mining is coming to an end, and finally it would be possible to bring the wastewater underneath the soil. And this is what's called the Emscher transformation, together with the Emscher Genossenschaft e.V. and the Regional Association Ruhr. And they did some exhibitions, and when I came, the question was, shall we do another temporary exhibition? And I proposed to make a permanent sculpture path with the artworks which are still there, and to invite some new. And now I'm going to show you some examples. This is a work by Julius von Bismarck, Marta Diachenko. They made like a mini park out of architecture which was demolished or dismantled since 2000. So it's a portrait of the region of all 53 cities almost, looking in the mirror of the architecture which is not there anymore. The architecture came by ship. This was a nice performance from Berlin to Duisburg, like the ship of the dead houses being mobile before they get immobile in the park. Another artwork is on a functioning sewage clearance plant. So this is quite crazy. It's really in an area where it's very industrial, the landscape, and smell is still bad. And the rest of the Ruhr is getting much better now. And Nicole Wermas, she works a lot with ready-made structures. She invented steel sculpture and then casted 60 bikes to have this like more urban irritation in there. And the last example from the permanent sculpture path is a work by Markus Jeschaunig. He transformed a former pump station into an example for swamp cities and into a beautiful artwork using all the elements, or a lot of elements, from the former pump station. Now I'm going to give you again, briefly, some examples of temporary artworks, the so-called Ruhrding trilogy. I somehow invented it when I came 2018, and we did every 2 years a bigger exhibition with 20 new commissions in 4 cities. Ruhr Territorien was the first dealing with the theme of territories, then dealing with the theme of climate, like social and environmental climate, and at last, 2023, dealing with the theme of sleep. This is an example for the territory exhibition, having a football play with 3 goals, for example, having a performative situation and a strong collaboration with a sports club. Example, also for territories, we marked the territories in 3 different cities together with Stefan Marx. These wall paintings are still there. Another example, Nicoline van Haaskamp, she installed her work, My Name ist Sprache, My Name is Speech, really in the waiting area for immigration and new passports. And now we are already here with the climate edition, which we had to postpone due to Corona. So Monster Chetwin's proposal to work with the bats was quite delicate at that moment, but was about talking about the huge social competence of bats. And we had sculptures, as you see also on the roof of this abandoned kiosk, but also performers talking to the passers-by. And we did a huge part of the exhibition in a lake, Silver Lake, because climate change has so much to do with being exposed to the sun or having high waters. So we had artworks in the water and people could swim over there. And now I'm switching to the last edition, Sleep. This is one of the huge cultural buildings. For example, in Witten, there was a time where the Ruhr was very prosperative and they kind of built up these beautiful architectures. Now it's a bit more empty because a lot of people also left, and here we turned it into a cruise ship, the interior, so every event in this cultural place could take place because it was taking place in this imaginative cruise ship. So it's a new way also to deal with performance. And there was a co-pilot on the roof with these octopus. And we also have long-term projects which are more community-based. This one, Healing Complex, was over 2 years. The attempt somehow to use an abandoned church space to create new economies with the neighbors, but also to create new social friendships and communities. And we grew mushrooms over there, for example, so people could work with us and then get some mushrooms to take home. We have this Irrlichtertouren in German. This is the attempt to offer bike tours, tours by foot in the Ruhr region to see the projects, which is somehow very extraordinary because normally everybody goes by car. And now there was the situation, I thought I'm going to leave after 6 years in my position because this was my contract and everything was somehow programmed to come to an end. The Wooding trilogy is a trilogy and Emscher Kunstweg was a cooperation for 5 or 6 years because of the Corona. It was 1 year longer, and then there were some negotiations and it ended up that I decided to stay, and I had the chance to set up a completely new program with a new partner in terms of graphic design, and this is what we are talking about now.
Yes, thank you so much, Britta, and again, thank you so much for thank you so much for inviting us in this combination. I think it's not often when you can listen to like the insights to that extent of the project. But for the beginning, I just wanted to introduce Studio Yukiko, who's partnering with Urbane Künste Ruhr on this. Just for the context to tell you who we are and what we do. So we're 8 to 9 people. From everywhere. We cover kind of a lot of ground in terms of graphic design. We do from we do everything from branding to websites to strategy and to editorial. And we often work with cultural institutions. So this is just sum up of a few other institutions that are kind of like relevant to what we're talking about. So this is an identity for Haus der Kultur und der Welt in Berlin that we've developed an identity for and continuously developing an identities for self-standing exhibition within it. And yeah, since 2022, it's been quite a few of them. This is a project, it's already done, but it was also a continuous project driving the human. It was a mentorship program that was on an intersection of art and design, art and science, and a bit of research, a bit of everything. And we did like a 360 kind of program for them with campaigns and like a broadcast design website and spatial applications as well. Sometimes we do like a smaller exhibition identities for like, just separate exhibition identities, but mostly, more often we do like this kind of support system for a couple of years for one project. Like this one, for example, it's also an art institution in Zurich that we're doing like poster for each season or a campaign for each season for them for already quite a few years. We've also been founding partners of Flaneur magazine, which covers one street in one city at the time. And we also did like a festival to honor or to continue this magazine. It's been already 9 issues, I think, and 10th is coming. But today, we're here to talk about our collaboration with Urbane Künste Ruhr. And here I'm kind of giving the mic, imaginative mic to Britta to just give a few words about the input in terms of the brief and what we had to do.
No. So I was super happy when I got the chance somehow to bring all the experience in, which I made 6 years by working for Urbane Künste Ruhr in a new project. And what came out was to keep site-specific exhibitions, because I think this is super important in art and public space, that there is a real connection to the situation on site, but also to go and visit all these 53 cities, because my feeling was we cannot somehow wait for people to come to us, especially after Corona. I think this was somehow crucial for coming up with new ideas. We are going to get ourselves a trailer, like a market wagon, and we are moving in all of these 53 cities, and we will have artworks, like we have an exhibition space with our trailer, but we will also bring some performance and have cooperations on site. And this was the brief for Yukiko. On one hand, the super small scale, heavy rotation in 3 years, 53 cities means every 3 weeks we are in another city, and we have to somehow be present over there. We have to cover this on the website and so on. And on the other hand, to think about the same design for a completely different, more slow format, like the site-specific exhibitions, which then take like 2 months or 3 months.
Yeah. So our output, I'm going to walk you through like a behind the scenes of the pitch from the beginning, like chronologically, basically, how it happened. So we usually take in the brief in like it looks a bit chaotic, and I also like compressed it, downsized it a lot. So it's a lot. We try to internalize whatever is happening there. It's not that easy to understand an institution when you're from the outside. So we had to take it apart a little bit, and we kind of highlighted for ourselves a few points, like what it actually is. So for us, what was important, that it's a post-industrial landscape, it's a polycentric region, decentralized approach of the institution, connectivity of the region. So they're all kind of like hashtags around the same topic, but also kind of starting points that we could grasp on visually. So it also has a sustainable network that is led by regional structures, strengthen local partnerships, and kind of deep knowledge into the region. And then also what's important for us every time is like what this new update of CI should actually do. So yes, it should present the institution as a decentralized destination, engage local communities and regional audiences, be loud, direct, and accessible, ensure high recognition value, be adaptable, functional, and easy to apply, offer playful design space, express uniqueness and invite discovery, unite diverse program elements under the one visual identity. And what's great about those points is that a lot of those points that came from Urbane Künste Ruhr overlap with our interests as well, especially like offer a playful design space and express uniqueness and invite discovery. It's like also kind of our interests as well. So we kind of I personally had to dive in a lot into to find out what it actually is, what is Ruhrgebiet and everything. We already seen the map, but it was like really important to understand that the first unique point that you get is that it's a Ruhrgebiet, and then that it's such a post-industrial area or industrial area, and I had to go on like Google Maps and research all the images. And one colleague, her father is from Ruhrgebiet, so I was like, "How industrial is it?" She's like, "Very." So yes, it turned out that it's like a part of the identity of the region, and naturally, it kind of also we started to look into what can it offer in terms of graphic visual language, what is there originally. So this was one interesting point for us kind of to find all of this typography from different industrial parts. So we're here now, and this is the actual pitch. So after all of this internalizing, this is what we came to. So once again, we looked and looked at all these images and started to see a pattern that was this kind of triangles started to pop up as a kind of base for industrial structures, but also then we started to see it everywhere, of course, on the map, that it's marking on the map for hills. They have, I think, specific name for it in German, but I forgot what it is.
Halden.
Halden, yeah.
This is the rest of mining.
Yes, so the mines and these hills, they're all marked, and the geography lessons from school also came in very handy in this moment, that we remembered that it's markings on the map. And then, well, the Halden themselves, and they're kind of, I think, part of the Amscher Kunstwerk as well. And then the arrows and like a navigation in space in general, because the institution doesn't have one specific location, but at the same time has to cover a lot of ground. So the spatial aspect is kind of important. So this is how the old logo, old design got a new home. And it kind of became, or we started to use it as a bridge between all the new. And yeah, I think maybe one thing to mention that we decided, or kind of were asked to leave the old logo or use the old logo.
Only the typography.
Yes, the typography, because it was already, it had some recognition, at least for nerds like graphic designers. But even though we couldn't use the font anymore, it was still nice to have this kind of mark taken from all these years that were already before us.
Maybe I can also add, because for me it was, I was still the same person in this position, so I wanted to somehow keep the connection to the 6 years before.
Yes, and it's such a nice, yeah, kind of transition point as well. Yeah, so from the home, it kind of became an instrument or a tool for wayfinding and navigation and like seeing where you are in this like also art world of that region. Or to kind of show the decentralized aspect of it, or that is like a guide for art and culture that goes through like that almost delivers quite literally the culture to the cities. Yeah, or like supports and supports the local culture as well, and digs deep into what is going on at place. So that was our base for the identity, and then another big part of it is typography. Because we couldn't use the previous font, and well, it had to be like a tool that would help us build like in an easy way the layout and be recognizable. So we were looking for something that would be that would take its roots in all of this industrial sphere, whether it's industrial typography or industrial structures as well, but also be kind of dual to show the dual nature as well of dual aspects of what's going on of Urbane Künste Ruhr. So both of those typefaces are kind of morphing between each other, yeah, and create a very interesting rhythm in all the titles. Yes, for the colors, it's like, I'm going like, how it actually went. For the colors, it was really interesting. I think from one of the first calls with Britta, she mentioned that it's nice that some of the colors are kind of like, they really come from some industrial aspects, like a safety jacket or the safety helmet. It's like all from factories, and so we didn't have to go like look for the colors far. We had to just look at what's there already in terms of yeah, either artworks or area itself. Yeah, and then all we had to do is just like see what it has to offer. It's just a simple triangle, but it starts to create like all kinds of layouts or containers for the images or typography, or well, becomes a navigation element. Yeah, and for the layouts, this is I mentioned before, but we want to really have something templatable so that it's easy to yeah, to be applied every time, because it's like a lot of stops at the Grand Snail Tour or a lot of events in general, so it has to be like a very easily produced. And typography helps with it a lot, and even when we don't have like imagery, it still works, because like the content kind of works on its own, because it already has a face, a typeface. And well, the animation helps with that a lot as well. Yeah, and this is just some of those things, or a lot of those things from the beach are actually we kind of took it as is, and I'm really grateful for that, because like usually in a process of okay, once you show the pitch or first presentation, and then when you start to implement it, you kind of lose a lot of cool stuff in the process. But in here, I think some of these things we try to implement, but some of them maybe yet to come. Yeah. And now, for this part, so that was all theoretical, and this is kind of like a present-day situation, how where we are at now, how we're implementing the identity like in real life. And I'm, yes,
yeah, I'm going to introduce the Grand Snail Tour with a few words more, because it takes 3 years. I think this is super important to have in mind. For me, it's one project. We have 53 stops, but it's one project. And the long-term project somehow is a chronicle about how the region changes, because we have this way starting in the north, going to the east, no, starting in the west, going to north, going to east, going to south. The snail, we were discussing long time which movement we should take. So we see how the region changes. We see the difference between the smaller and the bigger cities, but we also see how climate changes. We have a weather report for each stop, and we also feel how social climate changes. And these were the reasons why I was so interested in having this 3 years project. And for sure it was only possible when we have some very clear parameters, and one is we go always on Thursday. Sometimes we have an exception, but very seldom, so it's on Thursday we are coming. we are looking for a public space. It doesn't have to be the market space, can also be another space, depends on people we are connected with. We are always hosted by some locals, and we bring very different features from performance about these artworks we have connected to the trailer. For example, Ludwig Güzelci always takes the local newspaper from the cities and makes a blackout. So there is only like a small haiku in the end. And yeah, it gets, I think it gets too extended if I try to get deeper into all the artworks. But it's a play also for us somehow in the team to think about the stop, to think about the cities, to think what we can bring there, and to have this perspectives of repetition, for example, is very good also for us. Then we learn, we make experience, we can change things, and we share these experience with the artists because they often work with us 2 times, 3 times, and we have a so-called chronicle, which is like a meta story with 53 other artists, like covering our stops without being at the same spot, but being at in the same day in the same city. So, for example, they also realize when there is a big thunderstorm or whatever happens in politics will be the same situation for the people doing the chronicle.
Yeah. Yes, so it was like a first introduction to the new identity of the first time the audience met the new identity. So it had to be quite clear, I would say, and we made this quite a bold. It also comes from the pitch as well. It's really nice that it's like didn't change much. So we have this quite a bold visual with a snail. That is like a time lapse of all 3 years of the snail, because snail usually is slow. Well, here it's time lapse. And for the first few stops, we did the same layout for the posters for each stop, just like once again let the typography and colors kind of do the differentiation. But then we quickly realized that, well, we need to go push it a bit further and connect or like let each title tell a story. Visually as well, because the titles for this event, they also have a specific structure within which there is variation, and we did the same with the visual, where we have the same structure, but trying to kind of create these little symbols that hint at what's going to be happening, or like to pair them with the titles in a nice way so that each of the posters tells a bit of a story. And this is the latest one, and that's going to be it's an upcoming one in Dortmund. And a nice thing about this is Britta had a great idea. Is I think amazing reference to take as a reference the Über 40 party posters. And I really love it because it's like they're trying to do the same thing. They try to invite people, as many people as possible, to their event, to get them involved. So they use this, like everything they have, basically, like a super bright color, super big type, like just everything in your face. So we try to kind of rip it off a little bit and use their tools, which are really nice. And yeah, see how it's moving as well. And this is just, I'm going to go really quickly through this, just like a status of things, of how are they getting implemented, because I'm really fascinated how like some of the things from the pitch really like got the embodiment that or like a production that they deserved. Yeah, so it's just like things being developed and produced, and I'm really proud of all of the templates that we gave you for like internal use. Every time I see a post from Urbane Künste Ruhr, and it's like so nicely done, and we didn't have to do almost anything with it. It's just doing it on its own. Yes, and finally we're getting a trailer made, or like it's been already made for the next stop.
Yeah, but this is another one. This is our small trailer. The one we are touring with is the bigger one, just to clarify. Sorry. And Yeah.
Yes, and maybe you can say a few words about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned it in the beginning that we still do exhibitions, site-specific exhibitions, not in 4 cities at the same time, because this is really difficult to handle on many levels, but we look for interesting spots. In this case, this is the upcoming one, the inner harbor of Duisburg. And we ask artists to somehow work on projects site-specifically with the situation there. And the situation in Inner Harbor Duisburg is architectural a chaos. It's a collage between archaeology, postmodern architecture, and this is something which is mirrored in our posters.
Exactly. Yes, the collaged landscape, and this is just once again because it's like such a behind the scenes for you for like how the project has been unfolding. So this is like a very much in progress right now happening. Yeah, it has to go to print basically now. Yes, I think that's pretty much it. I hope I didn't go too fast with it, but. We have a special guest on stage, David. I don't know how you were
introduced. I'm not just standing here.
The bodyguard.
Because it's like a one more behind the scene level. It's behind the scenes because for me as a graphic designer, I don't know if many of you had this, but for me, when I'm getting the brief, I don't know what's happening before that or after that. And it's like, I know we're getting into context of things before starting designing things, but what predecesses or what comes next, like how do these posters get on the, yes, I'm starting to go into the questions, but we actually have them written out. So yes, maybe we thought that David maybe can shed some light on this behind the scenes. It's like an inception. So yes, should I read the question? So that,
yeah.
like,
how should we manage this?
Yeah. So the first point is like, how do you decide which channels you will be communicating through, and how do you introduce the project to a town where no one knows you yet, and do you involve locals in your communications, and do you see this act as a beginning of your dialogue with the community, because it's such a local-based project, at least Grand Snail Tour?
Yeah, actually it's very, to manage this project on a verwaltungstechnischer Seite, it's quite heavy actually. I break the profession down, I'm sorry. No, because I have to mention Urbane Künste Ruhr is one of the 3 Säulen der Kulturruhr. I switched to German. I hope that it's okay. I'm sorry.
What's there in the beginning? We have 4. The Ruhr Triangle is the biggest, and then Chorwerk Ruhr and Packzollverein.
Yeah.
Kulturruhr is the overhead, the umbrella.
Yeah, and we are totally unterstützt vom Ministerium and we don't have enough time. I'm sorry. And yeah, it's quite heavy to manage all those projects and all those needs, because we have to get Angebote for every single stuff, and this is my job actually. And yeah, I'm just for you to imagine 53 stops in 3 years. That means 17 stops per year. Every 2 weeks, another city, another poster, and yeah, on this case, I have to push my colleagues to get. Yeah, how can I say? I switch in German. Wir müssen wir nennen es gerne vor die Welle kommen. Also ich habe ganz lange hinter der Welle, war ganz lange vor der Welle und wurde von der Welle überrollt. Und irgendwann habe ich gesagt, wir müssen das jetzt brechen. Wir müssen in Vorlauf kommen und müssen sagen, wir reduzieren die Informationen vom Plakat, von den Flyern und versuchen, hinter die Welle zu kommen. Ich war auch lange auf der Welle, das war auch ganz schön, aber trotzdem hinter der Welle zu sein, das ist der Punkt, wo wir gerade sind. Und das, ja, Da wie gesagt, mussten wir einfach so ein paar Informationen reduzieren und auch so ein bisschen darauf hoffen, dass die RezipientInnen mit unseren Medien interagieren, also ins Tun kommen, sich einen QR-Code abscannen, wie auch immer. Und ich würde sagen, es ist ein extrem empathischer Blick auf die einzelnen Stops, auf die einzelnen Needs. Und deswegen würde ich die erste Frage jetzt zum Beispiel so beantworten, dass wir also im Grunde nach den Projekten gehen und gucken, okay, wo sind die Orte, auf welchen Plätzen sind wir, und da verorten wir auch unsere Kommunikation. Das heißt, wir gehen in die Städte, wir gehen in die Bäckereien, wir gehen in die Optiker, wir gehen zu den Mediagruppen, die im Ruhrgebiet, es sind 4 große Mediengruppen, die unterschiedlich greifen, mit denen wir komplett in Kontakt sind, quasi für die 3 Jahre. Und wir gehen in die Berichterstattung, also wirklich in die Zeitung gehen. Und ich sag mal, es ist so ein bisschen weg von der klassischen Anzeigenschaltung, sage ich mal. Es ist weg von dem klassischen Kunstpublikum auch, sondern es ist wirklich im Geschehen, so würde ich es beschreiben.
Yeah,
Ja.
maybe I can add 2 things. There is a curator for outreach working with me on this tour, Julian Rauter. He's very important, and a team of 5 people, like in a bigger team, 5 people managing this with a project manager level and art education level. And maybe to come back to the pitch, for me it was super important to have this very playful artistic vision of Yukiko for the tour, because it's bringing art, or something which is close to art, in public space. And this is the same with these posters. For example, sometimes we discuss the use of the posters, but I really like them sticking on the surfaces, as we saw it in the presentation. Because this is already something which somehow is different from either a slick or a ruined surface in the cities you normally have. So for me it's super fitting really to have this, also the playfulness in the variation of the posters. And we once decided then to have these verbs always talking about what we can do to activate a place. You saw it's valuing, wertschätzen, or reading, or dancing. So this was also one thing, to make it on one hand poetic, and also talk about public space by using public space as a surface.
Yes, I like how you said that it's like a disruptive kind of element in a city structure.
Yeah, yeah.
In a
Yeah,
city
to see the
visual.
surface also as art piece
Yeah.
somehow. Yes.
Yeah. So should we go to the next one? Do you want
Yes,
to?
or we can
Yeah, or-
let over to Julia, maybe.
Or is it? Oh, are we done?
Yeah.
We didn't.
I just